So greetings, it's Mike from LiveMyAssOff.com, and I completely forgot yesterday to check in on day 2 of Ramadan. Today is day 3 of Ramadan, and I'm here to report to you that I engaged in the ceremony for day 1 of Ramadan, meaning that beginning at about 4:14, I think, in the morning until after 7:51 p.m., I didn't eat. Now, what I did do, however, is drink water, and then in reading on a website, actually, that I'll put below, that was quite interesting, and it gave some tips on, or not some tips, but just sort of, say some statements on, hey, so like if your friends are practicing Ramadan, don't eat a cheeseburger right in front of them at work or offer them, food, if you are aware that they're practicing Ramadan. Oh, additionally, the other thing that I learned, which I will be saying to my buddy at work, is Ramadan Kareem, which I believe means have a blessed Ramadan or have a happy Ramadan, something like that. I think that's what it means. Regardless, put the link below. It's kind of some interesting information. But so here's the deal. I lasted until about 5:30 that day before I got a pretty bad headache. Now, I had been drinking water during the day, which I learned later is you don't do that either as part of the ceremony. You don't drink, you don't smoke, you don't have sex. I mean, these are, I guess, recommendations. I don't really know if there's sort of any sort of law in the religion of Islam or Muslim religion, whether this is sort of like what you do. However, it did state that if you chew, and even in the article, this guy said, I didn't realize, and he's Muslim, he said, I didn't realize that by chewing gum, I sort of negated my fast in the day. And so what he did cite is that apparently if you sort of break this fast, meaning if you drink or chew gum or ingest anything, quite frankly, of any substance, or certainly eat, that you can you start over again tomorrow, but you sort of make up for it by providing a meal for someone else, someone who is in need. And so I don't recall exactly whether he made the recommendation like, oh, so you should give food to like a homeless person or someone else in your church or someone in your neighborhood who is not practicing. I'm not quite sure exactly the scenario, but his recommendation was, if you break this fast, then this is sort of how you can make up for it. I'm not quite sure. And as I mentioned in another video, I mean, again, this is all sort of, tongue in cheek for me. I was really more interested in learning more about Ramadan and what people practice. And again, there's no way for me to say, oh my God, that's a great shirt, or my God, that's a very uncomfortable shirt, without me trying it on and being like, oh yes, it's uncomfortable to me, or it's comfortable, whatever. My point to that is that there's no way I can say, oh my God, this Ramadan thing, that's bad or lame or awesome or difficult or whatever without practicing it. Now, I can tell you right now that I am not committed to doing it for the rest of the month. I did it for one day, and here's why. By 5:30 p.m., even though I was drinking water, I got a really bad headache. And it was not a migraine headache. If you know anything about me or have listened to me share before about migraine headaches, when I get a true migraine headache, because I hear a lot of people say they describe themselves as having a migraine headache because like they have a bad headache. Like, oh my God, I've got a migraine. No. So my experience there is that a migraine headache means that I get blurred vision or potentially lose sight in one of my eyes. There feels like there are little men behind my eyeball stamping their feet on it. That's a visual that I've come up with. It's not a medical term. And I need very quiet area and a very dark area, ideally. What I will traditionally do in those scenarios is I will put a cold, get a face cloth, put water on it, and then just make it cool and put it over my eyes. And lay down and quite frankly take medication. And I've shared before, actually, I have basically 2 types of medication for that. The first is I shouldn't drive, and the second is I absolutely cannot drive, nor should I leave the house unescorted. Anyway, so feeling that coming on, I said, okay, this is not something that I should engage in or experience, that sort of thing, knowing that the worst case scenario is that I end up in the ER, which then I get transported into ICU. The only time I've been in the ER in San Diego was many years ago. It was about 23. And at the time, I was sober, but they gave me a shot of Demerol, and that was very uncomfortable for me. I mean, it made the headache go away pretty much instantaneously, but it was very uncomfortable for me having that inside my body. So I have these pills that, while they're not really described as a narcotic, they certainly produce a sensation that makes me feel very uncomfortable. I don't like feeling out of it like that, but it also gets rid of my headache, and it allows me to basically just sleep, pass out, whatever. And so, there's something to be said for Western medicine, provided my prescribing physicians are 100% aware of my desire to stay sober and my chemical propensity for addiction towards substances that provide that option. So I make a very conscious decision to make people aware of that, especially in the medical field. And then I also make the conscious decision to be as far away from those substances as I can. So far, so good. Anyway, and so I said, all right, well, fine. I'm going to do this for the full day. I'll ride it out, and then tomorrow morning I'm not going to do this. And so that's what I did. So basically, for the first day of Ramadan, I simply fasted all day in the sense that I did not eat. I drank water, and even with drinking water, I still got a really bad headache. And so I made the executive decision to no longer do that. Now, I realized that part of the process, certainly from my Muslim friend, is to experience the discomfort and to be grateful that you don't have it every day, and to be aware of the fact that there are, in fact, people starving, and this is what it feels like, and it's not good. But it's also a process of sort of an annual cleansing and that sort of thing, which that I totally get, and I fully support that, but I want to do that in different ways. Now, interestingly enough, this also coincided with the day, or the weekend, that I was celebrating an anniversary for being clean and sober one more year. And for me, that in itself is quite enough evidence for me to be grateful that I am able to eat, let alone breathe, and see, not have heart palpitations, and all of the disgusting, actually, that comes with being an alcoholic. And so it was a time of gratitude anyway in my life. Thank God it's a part of gratitude in my life. I mean, if I was just like, oh my God, one more year, what a pain in the ass, I can't go drink with my buddies, then it wouldn't probably be the level of gratitude that I have. I have an enormous amount of gratitude, and there's a bunch of videos actually that I've done this weekend, as well as sort of the coming the time leading up to this, because again, 25 years ago, certainly before the day that I went to my first meeting, which for me is my first day of sobriety, my first day of recovery, my life was horrible, like literally the worst it could have gotten, and thus it is labeled as a bottom, which I would submit motivated me to get the hell out of that bottom and actually do something about it, and then have the solution around me, thank God, of 12-step meetings and my family and supportive loved ones and new friends that I met, that all they wanted to do is basically support me in staying sober one more hour, one more day, one more week. It was an amazing solution and continues to be. So in any case, so that's my update on Ramadan and where I am with it. I will tell you that I also have I gained more knowledge, which is great always, but the other thing is that I gained a respect for the people that do it, and the fact that my buddy, actually, he sent me a text in the evening or whatever, and he says, hey, I don't know how your fast went. He said, but I lasted till like 2 p.m. and then had a headache for the rest of the day, and he in fact described some degree of like twitch or pain in his temples. So he laid down for the rest of the day, and then actually as part of it, I guess, in the evening, it's sort of a celebration with friends and family, not a huge party, but you certainly like break the fast, which is the iftar, and then you you don't have a huge party, but you celebrate the fact that you can now eat, and then it occurs again, of course, every day for approximately 30 days. So in any case, that's my update, and for those of you practicing Ramadan, Ramadan Kareem. And with that, I hope you're living the dream. It's Mike's from LiveMyAssOff.com saying I hope you're living the dream, because if you're not living the dream, I think you're doing it wrong. Ciao.